Every morning when I wake, I remember that Ned is gone. I have no skill with swords, but that does not mean that I do not dream of riding to King's Landing and wrapping my hands around Cersei Lannister's white throat and squeezing until her face turns black. What up, and welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, your favorite full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series. I'm Nate. Joining me, as always, is my brother Zach.
What up, dog?
That's all you got?
That's all I got.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So, yes, we are full spoiler. If you've joined us before, thank you for coming back. If this is your first time and you have not read the books, you probably should do so because we talk about them in their entirety.
A lot of people die.
A lot of people die.
That'll be ruined for you.
Anyway, last episode we read Arya 8.
Arya?
Is that you? Nothing?
Yeah, I'm just doing one word.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. So Arya, last we saw her in there in Harrenhal. She was giving her second name, having Jaqen H'ghar take out Whis because he was just kicking the shit out of her, and she did not approve. We were seeing Tywin Lannister gathering his forces and marching with all of who was it? Adam Marbrand left first. We saw. And then Tywin, along with the Hound and some of his guys. And so that left Jaqen H'ghar, who was with the Bloody Mummers, who are also staying behind with Amory Lorch as well, and his men. Yeah?
Yeah.
How am I doing so far?
Pretty on
Good.
point.
Got it. Wonderful.
Arya did kick herself over not choosing Tywin or someone more on her list, someone who could actually affect the war, but too little too late at that point. And yeah, her last chapter had ended with Whis being eaten by his beloved bitch that he liked to sick on people. This episode, we're going to be reading Catelyn 5. And last we left Catelyn, motherfucking Renly got stabbed through the gullet.
Through the chest?
Gullet, no.
The gullet?
Wasn't it through the throat?
Probably.
But, well, it did say is gorge it. And I always thought that was like the neck piece. So but I don't know. Yeah. I'm probably picturing it wrong. But Renly got stabbed and killed, and Brienne and her fled after Brienne fucked some motherfuckers up.
Yeah, they met up with her men and they took off.
And they diddy-bopped. And so Cat is in the midst of it. And as we pick up this chapter, we learn that they were 2 days from Riverrun when a scout spied them. A scout spied them, and Catelyn had never been so glad in all her life to see the twin towers of House Frey on a sigil. And she asked immediately to be taken to the Blackfish, and learns that he went west with Robb.
Yep.
So he is not there. Martin Rivers has command of the Outriders in his absence. So she's like, take me to him.
Yeah, he's a bastard of Walder Frey's, but he's apparently a pretty good dude. She was not at all surprised that Robb did leave because he was thinking about it before she was sent along to go and parley with the Baratheon brothers. Yeah.
So they set out immediately to go meet Merton, and the scout asks if she's come from Bitterbridge. And we learn that Cat did not go to Bitterbridge. She didn't dare to go to Bitterbridge because with Renly dead, she had no idea how she'd be received there, especially with the rumors.
Was this a mistake?
No, absolutely. No, I don't think at all. With all the rumors flying around that Catelyn herself, she had Brienne with her. No, I don't think that's a mistake. I think
especially
Cat was
with Littlefinger heading that way.
100% right to push forward and get to Riverrun. I don't think it was a mistake at all. Because, she was unsure of what reception she'd get from Renly's queen. And so instead, she had rode through the heart of the war. Yeah. Through the blackened and burned Riverlands, her home where she grew up.
I think it's interesting also, though, that I never really thought about how much she traverses back and forth across these before she even is Lady Stonehearted.
Because, a lot of her travel is in between her chapters. Yeah. Which, makes sense. You tell the story of the important, interesting bits. But it's, how
familiar she is with the lands.
Fucking zigzags all around.
And so it just makes sense that when she's Lady Stoneheart, how capable she is of just kind of being everywhere.
I feel like this chapter specifically, there's a lot of Stoneheart foreshadowing. Yeah. She asks if her brother Edmure holds Riverrun, and he does. And this is when Cat also learns of Robb's great victory at Oxcross and how fucking everybody and all her men start cheering and hooping and hollering at that, and she thinks tomorrow's trials concerned her more than yesterday's triumphs.
Yeah, I wrote that down too.
That's just, I mean, that's Cat in a nutshell.
Yeah,
is always worrying about what's next. And so Martin Rivers had been charged with keeping an eye out for Catelyn's party and was supposed to escort her back to Riverrun in all haste.
As soon as possible.
And Cat's immediately like, oh, why? Has my father gone? And it's only because Tywin marches west with all his power.
Yeah, everybody from Tywin, from Harrenhal's heading this way.
He is 3, maybe 4 days away from passing Riverrun.
Yeah.
And so they all gather up as she meets with Martin Rivers, and they have this discussion, and they're now 50 strong, and they set off for Riverrun again. And this is when Rivers tells them more of Robb's victory at Ox Cross and says that a singer, Rymond the Rhymer, has made a song of the fight, and he calls it The Wolf in the Night. Fucking lame title.
So I wanted to stop there for a second because I just think it's funny that Robb's got a song made after him in his battle. Theon used having a song made about you to get Dagmar Cleftjaw to join up with him. If
Theon would have been there,
Theon would be in the song.
Yeah.
Like, he would have been in that battle where this happened. And no, because he's an idiot.
I also like how much we get mention of singers in this chapter.
Yeah.
And Lysa's affiliation for them, I think, is super interesting. And just how Cat, there always just seems to be singers, like Diddy bopping in and out of Cat's story. And it's super interesting. But she thinks that, or they were saying that Robb was paying the Lannisters back for the destruction in the Riverlands.
Yeah, they were raiding.
Lords Karstark and Glover were raiding the coast. Lady Mormont had captured thousands of cattle and were herding them toward Riverrun, and Great John had seized the gold mines at Castamere, Nuns Deep, and Pendrick Hills.
And they make the wonderful joke of the quickest way to get Tywin Lannister to march is hold his gold hostage.
Yeah, fuck with his gold.
I don't know that, which is weird because I just did a reread like a couple of years. I don't think it's been that many years, but I guess maybe it was like 2017, 16 that I last read it. But I didn't realize how much they fucking took in the West.
Yeah.
Like all the mines, all these towns.
I mean, short of Casterly Rock. They took pretty much all of it. Sir Perwyn Frey asks how it was that Robb, and Sir Perwyn is with Catelyn in Catelyn's party. He asks how it was that Robb took the tooth, since it's hard and strong and commands the hill road, and they answer that he didn't take it. He slipped past, and this is where we get the explanation of Grey Wind finding the goat trails, and not a single fucking guard on the walls saw him as they just slipped right past under the castle.
They said that Grey Wind led Robb.
Yeah.
Do you think that Grey Wind was out exploring and Robb was green dreaming, like having dreams? Or do you think Grey Wind was just like how Ghost led Jon to the cache of werewolf glass?
That's a question with Robb and Grey Wind is how close. And I mean, we don't really ever know with Robb.
Why not? Oh yeah, he gets his head cut off.
All right.
Just saying. No, well, which we had pointed out to us on the YouTube that we didn't even notice with the crow. Is that, where did that come up? On the YouTube with the Robb head, the Stark.
Yeah.
Which chapter was that in?
You're train wrecking.
No, I just forget where we were talking about
I'm pretty sure in Arya.
That would make sense. Oh yeah, because she was the guards, the archers she was walking past had said, he's more wolf than man.
Yeah.
And it completely went over our heads how ironic that is of a statement. It was pointed out by Stephanie, I believe, on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's just pointed out to us, he has his head the wolf's head stitched onto his body.
Yeah.
So maybe that's kind of a reference there, or a little bit of a foreshadow.
And playing on that, Rivers continues saying that some are saying that Robb cut out Sir Stafford Lannister's heart and fed it to his wolf. And Cat kind of fucking scoffs and is like, I wouldn't believe such tales. My son is no savage. And Great John has been heard to say that the old gods of the North had sent those dire wolves to her children. Because regardless, Grey Wind is getting mad credit for this fucking victory.
Yeah, he is, man. And he did it during Whispering Wood as well, so he's just got this reputation.
And Kat remembers the day that the boys found the wolves, and she thinks they're not, no common wolves indeed. No, they fucking ain't. Which I'm surprised that she doesn't think of the night Bran was attacked, where Summer fucking ripped the guy's throat out. Like, it's interesting that it's the night they were found. She even thinks of specifically Jon Snow's wolf, the white one for him. But that night, as they set up camp, they still haven't reached Riverrun. Brienne comes to her and asks her permission to leave. I've seen you safely through. You're now in the presence of your father and your son's men. Like, give me leave to go pursue Stannis.
Yeah, and Kat was kind of expecting it. It wasn't something she knew that she had planned on it, and she's like, I don't know, that's such a good idea, yo.
I mean, Kat throws the logic at her, where Brienne is blind with rage, and Kat's like, there's guards. There's a fucking army around him. Like, what are you really gonna do?
Yeah, and she kind of tries to fight it off until she does see logic. She's not stupid. Because she at first, well, I'm not scared of the guards, and everybody knows that Brienne could fuck up the guards, but that's not the point. It's a suicide mission, is what she was after.
Yeah, and Kat, during this, there's just some interesting points where Kat notes that there are walls around this one higher than Winterfell's, and also, she begins to tell her that Renly's death was no fault of yours. You served him valiantly. But when you seek to follow him into the earth, you serve no one. And Brienne starts kind of like an angsty child saying, you don't understand.
Yeah, she says no one knows. And I actually wanted to read the quote just because the way she gets so intense. But Catelyn cuts her off and is like, you're wrong. Every morning when I wake, I remember that Ned is gone. I have no skill with swords, but that does not mean that I do not dream of riding to King's Landing and wrapping my hands around Cersei Lannister's white throat and squeezing until her face turns black. And then it says, the beauty raised her eyes. And that was the only part of her that was truly beautiful.
Yeah.
First of all, Kat gets fucking intense there, and I love that.
Yeah.
But then I like the mention of Cersei's face turning black with, and it's especially because of the Maggie the Frog prophecy, having these white hands wrapped around her throat, until she's fucking choked out.
LOL.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And then I just think it's funny anytime Catelyn calls Brienne the beauty, and, it's just strange in the way that she's so okay with knowing you're an ugly fucking broad.
Yo, Kat's a bitch in this chapter. Kat is a straight up bitch in this chapter, and I think it's interesting. It actually makes me like her more because of how complex she is. She is not a flawless character in any means. The beauty here. I also do think it's poignant though that she notes her eyes because the eyes are the reflection of the soul. They're the window into the soul. So that's the only truly beautiful part of Brienne. But yeah, Kat's pretty savage, especially coming up here in a bit. They argue for a bit about kings and who's rightful or not. Brienne swears that Renly would have been a good king. Stannis doesn't fucking deserve it. Who cares about who's rightful?
Yeah, the gods don't give a shit. Because Catelyn gives the little speech that she learned as a child that swords don't make kings, the gods make the kings. And Brienne is like, well, neither Stannis or Robert were ever the rightful heir. That guy fucking died on the Trident, technically. You want to be fucking technical. Because she asked if Kat was worried about what Stannis had said about Robb being an enemy as well, or being the next enemy after Renly.
Kat's like, that's kind of disconcerting.
Yeah, so... But yeah, Kat reminds her that it's only Joffrey, Stannis, and Robb at this point. That you can back one of those three.
And Renly's enemies are Robb's enemies as well. And Brienne says she doesn't know Robb. But I do know you, and you have a sort of, and I just like the line, a woman's courage. Not battle courage, perhaps, but a sort of woman's courage. And Brienne just kind of starts going through, I don't really feel comfortable swearing myself to Robb, because I don't fucking know him. Yeah. But I do know you. And you spoke for me. You defended me.
And so, again, I wrote down another quote from Kat, because, again, she just fucking killed it in this chapter. But she says, perhaps I did not want to be the only one who knew the dark truth of what had happened there. And that's something she thinks to herself. Yeah. But it's just interesting. Who could fucking blame her?
Yeah,
it was an absolutely insane thing to see. It's completely unbelievable. Nobody in their right mind would listen to that shit. So to have somebody, even if it's her, but the fact that she's justifying the reason she was being truthful and honest. Yeah. Why? No, you just knew she didn't do it, and you tried to stop them because she was innocent. And so the fact that she's justifying is again, a strange thing.
Yeah. So Brienne swears her sword. She goes through the whole vow, which the vow is dope. And Catelyn returns it. You'll always have a place at my table, meat and mead, yada, yada, yada. And it's just, yeah, it's sweet. And so they end up fording the Red Fork the next day and join a small stream, or not a small stream, a pretty large stream of small folk that are heading for Riverrun. And people start kind of chanting Stark and Tully and shit like that. And she passes 2 encampments along the way. All bannermen of Riverrun have seemingly returned, which last she left, they had all scattered to the fucking 4 winds to go defend their own lands. And
because so far she got escorted in across the ford by the Lannisters. Crossing, when she was looking at the camps across, she saw the Pipers, the Darys, and the Pages. And they had all left before, like, I think you were getting ready to mention, when Edmure had sent them to defend their own lands. And now they're back. That could only mean that he intends to actually fucking fight Tywin.
Yeah. Cat sees that a bunch of bodies are hung from the battlements by nooses, and notes that it's Lannisters, and she just fucking prays that Jaime's still alive, for the love of fuck.
Yeah, because Hal Mullen makes a little joke about them, and the men there who are just arriving are laughing about it, like, oh, hopefully they saved us some, and all sorts of shit, but Cat and Brienne are not about it.
Yeah, Brienne just kind of looks at him, doesn't even say anything. The portcullis is up as they ride up, and Edmure rides out to meet her, along with Sir Desmond Grell, the Castellan, Sir Eartharides Wayne, which is the Master-at-Arms, and Sir Robin Rygar. And he was
I thought he was the Master-at-Arms.
He might have been the Master-at-Arms. I didn't write their actual
I forget what Uthir is. You go on, I'll pull
all of them are old men. Who had spent their entire lives in her father's service, and then she just kind of notes that they are fucking old, too. And Edmure had been worried about Cat, about his sister, with Tywin marching, and Cat asks him if there had been any word from Storm's End or from Bitterbridge yet. And there was nothing from Bitterbridge.
So Uthirides is the steward.
The steward.
Yeah.
So there was no word yet from Bitterbridge, but from Storm's End, they had received 3 ravens from Courtney Penrose, who is still holding the castle in Renly's name.
Yo, you're a badass, Courtney Penrose.
He offers alliance to any king that would break Stannis' siege, and he keeps repeating that he fears for the boy. And this is when Edmure asks Cat, I wonder what boy that would be.
And Brienne's like, I know.
Brienne's like, yo.
Edric Storm,
bitch. And she tells him Robert's bastard son. And he continues, Stannis has sworn to let them all go free, unharmed, provided they yield the castle within the fortnight and deliver the boy to him. But Penrose will not consent. And Cat thinks he risks all for a base-born boy whose blood is not even his own.
And
talk about Jon Snow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of thoughts on the GNC, the Great Northern Conspiracy, and a certain will left by Robb, and if that unbastardizes, legitimatizes, makes Jon a Stark and not a Snow.
We're full spoiler reread. Why are you pulling fucking teeth?
I just like to throw out crazy words. Oh. You don't gotta judge me. God.
Oh my God.
I know.
Playing the fucking victim again.
I think it's just an interesting thing that granted, we've known since the start of Game of Thrones, she fucking hates bastards in general.
Do you think that's like the big hook of it all, is that Cat is Stoneheart and is doing what she's doing to ensure the will is enacted, and that she is risking all for a base-born boy whose blood is not even her own?
Right.
Is that
right? That's so. Like, yeah, Stoneheart, who and that's what the theory that I like to think is, that she's getting the will and trying to
work her way up to get that information out. Yeah,
and so the fact that she's completely oblivious to how could somebody, for just a bastard, put so much on the line?
Well, then it also, Fagon. It could be
right.
A Fagon parallel as well with Jon Con. If it is a fake Aegon, because if it's not, then it kind of makes more sense.
Yeah, that's a real...
But Edmure has responded, as they have nothing to offer him, and Stannis is no enemy of ours, he says. And so they ask about Renly's death, and they kind of eye Brienne. They're like, yeah, they said some southern woman. Some are even saying, you, Cat.
Yeah, and she kind of skirts around and neither of us did it. It wasn't us.
Yeah.
Get off our back. He was murdered. We were there. We saw it. Let's talk about it somewhere else.
Yeah, this is when Catelyn introduces Brienne, and everything's awkward as fuck as greetings are exchanged, and Brienne is just terribly awkward. But
yeah.
Cat doesn't want to discuss Renly's death out in the open with all these different people around, so she asked who it was that was hung. And Edmure looks comfortable as he says that they came with Sir Cleos when he brought the Queen's answer to our peace offer. And Cat's just like, you fucking hung envoys.
You did... Come again?
And Edmure breaks it down, which, like, his presentation of the information was dumb. Like, he paused for it. He looks uncomfortable and then paused for a minute to, like, allow her that moment of shock instead of just being like, but they played us false.
No, yeah, he did it to be a fucking tool bag. Like, why would you not say, so we had some envoys that came, but they attacked us?
And tried to break the Kingslayer out. Yeah, because he continues, false envoys. They surrendered their weapons, so I gave them freedom of the castle, and they enjoyed my meat and mead for 4 days. And on the 4th night, they were caught trying to free the Kingslayer, killing 2 guards. One of them was some sort of mummer and used my own voice to command the river gate open so the guards swear. And he says, this was Tywin's work, no doubt. And Catelyn's like, this was the fucking imp's work.
This is Tyrion, yeah.
And she's like, it's the same sort of cunning he displayed at the Eyrie. And she had once thought of Tyrion as the least dangerous of the Lannisters, and now she was not so certain.
Not anymore.
But she's like, so how did they get caught? And Edmure's like, well, I was out of the castle for just a minute.
Okay, you were out fucking getting your
she's
shit.
Like, dude, I get it. You're getting your dick wet. Fucking what happened? And she's like, that his return, Edmure's return, is what actually sounded the alarm. Because they're like, oh, if he's coming in, then who the fuck?
Who's been hollering orders at us?
So Kat gets to the main important bit, and she's like, tell me fucking the Kingslayer didn't escape. Like, he was retaken, right?
No, he had cut down some motherfuckers with no problems, and then got captured eventually.
Cut down 3. Powell Pemford, Sir Desmond Squire, and Miles, and wounded Delp so badly that the Maester fears he'll die soon. And as soon as it happened, a bunch of other Lannisters joined in as well. I hung them beside the 4 who freed Jaime, and threw the rest into the dungeons, Jaime as well. He is chained in the dark, hand and foot, and bolted to the wall. And Cat asks where Cleos Frey is.
Where's Cleos? They're not sure if he's telling the truth when he says he has no idea that this was a thing. And so, for the time being, he is now locked in Jaime's old tower cell.
I just want to point out the point that when Cat asks about Cleos Frey, and Edmure responds, he says he swears he knows nothing, but he is half Lannister, half Frey, and all liar. He's in Jaime's old tower cell. That line there is significant later in his battle plans, and so I just wanted to make note of it now. But he says the other lords begin to ask if they can expect Stannis' help, because there's no way Tywin is going to let the claims of incest that Stannis has put out there fucking stand, and so he must be looking for allies. And Catelyn thinks that Stannis has made common cause with a power greater and darker. And all, like, just because of that fucking shadow baby.
Greater and darker.
Like, she knows it. He has given his soul up to something.
Whatever
something
it is.
Terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
But she says they'll discuss all that later, and Cat and Edmure ride on, continuing on away from everyone else. And inside, it is just chock full of fucking small folk.
Yeah, like, there's little naked children running around. There's all sorts of people in, like, little shanties that they've rigged up.
That Edmure has allowed them.
Yeah, because who the fuck are these people? And he's like, they're my people. They're my people.
They're the small folk. They were afraid.
I let them in. They were scared. Like, what? Come on.
And Cat thinks that only my sweet brother would crowd all these useless mouths into a castle that might soon be under siege.
Fuck. Fucking savage.
All these useless mouths.
Dude.
Like, I understand in terms of we're at war, we need working hands, but, like,
we can't afford to feed all the people in here. But yeah, the savage.
Useless hands.
Granted, I mean, I won't even say granted, because, yeah, there's different things that could be done with them. Send them somewhere else, get them on a little trailer train onto their way up to the Twins or something, and up other places that aren't about to be fucking run down by Tywin. But to just, why bring them in here? Yeah. Just fucking just leave them out there until Tywin gets here. Game.
Like, yeah, like, fuck. Cat doesn't care about these small folk and these are Tully small folk. These are Riverrun's people. These are, if anyone should have a tie.
It's just interesting that with what Varys says about being for the small folk, that she, of all people, she's, like, right now, she doesn't sound any better than Cersei.
Yeah, no, she's just as savage. Like, Tywin. Just march over.
Who gives a fuck about those people? Like, burn them all.
I mean, Robb is doing the same thing that Tywin just did to the Riverlands. Yeah. He's burning it. He's, like, there isn't too much of a difference here. And so, thinking that, she thinks that Edmure had a soft heart, and she thought a softer head. And she asks if a raven can reach Robb, but it cannot as he's in the field and he wouldn't know where the fuck to go.
He's out getting his shit injured and married without
But Robb did leave word that she push on to the Twins.
Immediately.
And be given fresh horses to help start picking a wife for Robb. And she's like, yeah, no, I'll be staying.
I'm chilling here.
I'm not leaving with my dad dying, and Robb can pick his own fucking wife.
Yeah, and Edmure's like, but Tywin's coming. He's coming here.
Yeah.
And she's like,
as long as we stay behind these walls, we good?
Fucking and?
And he's like, yeah, no, I'm not letting him pass through my lands again unbloodied. And Cat immediately says there's nothing to be gained and everything to lose from meeting Tywin in the field. And Edmure gets pissed and says this is not the place to discuss battle plans. And Cat's like, sweet.
This is my battle plan.
Where are we going?
Yeah, let's go somewhere else then.
And yeah, his face darkened. But he says, very well, the gods would, if you insist. And
so they start making their way straight into our small council.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are going to be heading over into our small council to join them so that we can discuss and get you guys some socials, talk about some stuff that we can't really fit into a Catelyn episode right now. So
what he said.
Catch you on the next side. The other side, side B, after the small council.
Flip the tape.
Welcome to the small council.
He's ridiculous.
With Nate and Zach.
With just Nate being that and Zach trying to get you some information. So we've been getting a lot of correspondence. This coronavirus is really keeping people indoors, which is good.
Indoors and in touch. And not without actually touching, because social distancing.
We are, of course, honored to be able to provide some of that entertainment for you during this crazy, crazy time we live in. So we wanted to shout some people out. And we had mentioned it a bit earlier during this Catelyn episode, but Stephanie wrote into us on YouTube and said that about Arya 8, A Wolf in Harrenhal, she said, while all the Starklings are referred to as wolves at one point, Arya and Bran are definitely the most wolfish. Love how she's owning it. Absolutely. Arya's always compared to Lyanna, who's said to have a bit of the wolf's blood in her. And Bran, of course, with the mind melding into a literal fucking
being
wolf.
A fucking wolf.
And then she said, that being said, the line, he's more wolf than man, is actually pretty dark when you consider what later happens to his body. Again, went over my fucking head
flew right
and
over
then hit me in the gut like a fucking punch. So thank you for that. And finally, Arya's thoughts of Robb are so touchingly sad because she, Sansa, and Bran have such faith in him, and yet Robb must feel so scared sometimes. Again, fantastic episode as always. Robb straight up cries to Bran about just ruling Winterfell. So yeah, I'm sure he's got some nights alone where he is just hugging Grey Wind.
Sobbing that big
because
he's
leading a fucking army to war to free his father who was just beheaded. And
I just realized, I bet Grey Wind has a squishy face. And
you just
he has a big old squishy face, and then so at least Robb has.
Well,
Grey
thanks
Wind.
Stephanie for writing.
Thank you so much. So I also wanted to mention Amelia on YouTube as well has been writing in a lot, and so thank you for writing in. And then we are going to jump over to our Patreon, where, first, the Patreon is patreon.com/withoutmanners.
Yeah.
And we've got a new subscriber over there, and we appreciate it so much. Thank you, Sarah, for joining us hope you enjoy that new content. Let us know what you think. Let us know if there's anything
coming at you soon,
too. We're working on recording
Arianne 2.
Yes, which then will be followed by Tyrion 2 from Winds of Winter
wrapping
sample
up
chapters.
those Winds of Winter sample
and that'll be
chapters.
the last of those before we get into some other cool
content.
content.
Thank you for joining our Patreon. You, as I believe you were added today, so hopefully you saw the welcome message to the private Facebook group. And thank you.
You can also join Sarah there with the private Facebook group, along with the others. Stephanie, who's on the private Facebook group, and I think Julian's in there. Yep. And, we've got a few different people. You can get access there by joining our Patreon, as I mentioned the URL before, patreon.com/withoutmanners. You can just go to our regular, not private Facebook page at facebook.com/Brotherhood Podcast. Yeah. And the common way to reach us is our email, Brotherhood. Wow, what the fuck is our email? I'm all out of it. withoutmannersbrotherhood@gmail.com.
Jeez.
One day we'll get it down.
One day.
We're only like 120 episodes in.
We are also on Twitter. I'm at CarStark92. Nate's on Twitter at MannersWithout.
Yeah, I talk a lot about Song of Ice and Fire. Zach posts husky pictures.
Adorable
They're
husky
pretty great
pictures.
husky pictures.
He was so cuddly today.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Anyway, I think that's...
Yeah, rate and review us. Go to Podchaser and review us. They're still donating 25 cents for every review over there, and we can reply to get another additional quarter donated to Meals on Wheels. I have the link in the show notes after, so check that stuff. You can find the links there. And I think that should be about it. You know, send us in your inductees for chapters. We love to see those. And we will let you get back to Catelyn 5.
Heading to the Godswood. So they continue on to the Godswood.
Into the Godswood.
And Catelyn... And this quote, just before they got there, Catelyn was sorry she had wounded his pride, but she can't afford to really care about it. That poor woman has to deal with so much bullshit pride from these fucking men.
Yeah, all the women, man.
All of them, but
yeah.
The thick-headedness is what starts these fucking wars. How big my dick is.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is a perfect moment.
Yeah, the way that
pride.
he goes storming in there, and she points out how his little shoulders are staunched, and he's fucking storming through, and it's holy shit, dude! What are you gonna slam the door too,
so
big
she
man?
Immediately, as they get alone in the Godswood, says, "You don't have the strength to fight Tywin." And Edmure's like, "Haha, you forgot about Roose Bolton though. He has 10,000 men, and I've told Sir Mayo, Helman Tallheart, to join him with the garrison Robb has left at the Twins." And Kat's like, "Edmure, those men were left there to hold the Twins and make sure that Sir Walder holds faith, or Lord Walder holds faith, keeps faith with us."
Dang it, man. And here we get just another big punch in the face with, she has the right of it. And then he lists all the reasons. No, we've already...
They have kept faith. They were at Whispering Wood with us. You had an escort. There's fucking men here. One of them is Robb's squire. Robb is going to marry them.
Yeah, Stavron died
fighting at
Roose
Oxcross.
Bolton married one.
Roose Bolton married one. Robb is betrothed to one, and you took two on at Winterfell. What more can they do? Cleos Frey. He is half Lannister, half Frey, and all liar. Back then, Edmure was basically saying that the Freys were just as good as the Lannisters.
Yeah.
But now, because it's his plan, because his dick is growing in his fucking pants, it's all okay.
All of a sudden, it's a good,
cool
thing.
Let's trust the fucking Freys.
Yeah.
You literally just gave Walder Frey the fucking smokescreen he needs to start coercing with Roose and with Tywin. Fuck you, Edmure. Fuck you, Edmure.
Edmure caused the Red Wedding.
Fuck Renly rage. Now it's Edmure rage.
Fuck, I'm on board with the Edmure rage, man. Fuck you, Edmure. Fuck Edmure.
But Kat had not heard of Stavron's death or Roose's marriage.
Yeah.
Neither had we, Kat. So you're good on that one.
Yeah.
And he says that he's commanded Bolton to retake Harrenhal. And Kat's just like, that'll be a bloody affair. But Edmure's fucking cocksure. And just, it'll work. We got this.
Yeah, and then once he has it, Tywin won't have any place to retreat.
He'll be trapped like Rhaegar was.
He'll be stuck. He's fucking stuck.
He's gonna die on the trident like Rhaegar. Like, he's trying to recreate this
this epic
trident
battle
victory.
scene.
And, like, fuck you.
Fuck Edmure.
Fuck Edmure.
At least... No, I don't. I was going to say at least Renly and then some supportive statement, but I can't think of anything good that Renly's actually done to give him credit for.
So Catelyn immediately is just like, fuck, I wish Brendan were here. I wish the Blackfish were here.
No shit, man.
Like, he would be able to just tell Edmure.
He'd slap the fuck out of you. He was a war veteran of thousands of actual battles.
She's weary, and I don't fucking blame her. And then she starts to question herself, and she's like, well, maybe my misgivings are only a woman's fears. No, Cat.
Not this time.
Not this time. And then she wishes Ned were here, or her father was less infirm, or someone who could fucking handle the situation.
Yeah, because then she asks him, "Did you run this past our father?" And he's like, "Nah,
he can't.
What's he gonna tell me? He's out of his fucking gourd, brah."
And so yeah, she gives Edmure a kiss on the cheek, and she goes to find her father, and she finds him much as she left him, a bed, haggard, and in a room smelling of sickness. And as Cat pulls back the drapes, his eyes fluttered open, and he stared at her as if he could not comprehend who she was or what she wanted. And she kissed him, and he seemed to know her then. And he asks if she's forgiven him as he begins to cry and just kind of
There's nothing
blabber.
to forgive you for, father.
And he says, it was best. John is a good man, strong. He'll take care of you. You'll wed when Cat does. And she's like, oh, he thinks I'm fucking Lysa.
Son of a bitch.
God damn it, Dad. And then he mentions, I'm sure you probably have the whole quote.
No, I didn't quote it.
Oh, about the stripling,
no,
wretched stripling boy.
I could open it if you want.
Oh, no. I mean, it's he mentioned, okay, so, I mean, we're full spoiler. Hoster Tully it seems to be like, I don't know, dementia.
He's got the Alzheimer's.
He's slipping kind of in and out of memories.
And so he's, in his mistaking Cat for Lysa, he's asking her for forgiveness for having made her drink the Tansy, which was to abort her because Peter Baelish got her pregnant.
Yes.
And because of that, that's why he's mentioning that wretched strip. Yeah,
don't fucking talk to me about Littlefinger. Don't say his name.
I'm sorry. I know. And then he mentions Jon Arryn being a good man and like he's sorry he's old. But yeah, he's talking mad shit.
I think the sorry is the abortion. Like, I'm sorry. I forced that on you.
But
because is that why Lysa's fucking cracked?
Probably
the abortion.
Forced that, absolutely. That and then the twisting from Littlefinger for her entire life.
The twisting of Littlefinger, the marrying to an older man. Sure. That's why her thing with Robin is
like that's got to be one of the most traumatic things. Absolutely.
So that's why I think her relationship with Robin is as fucked as it is because their first son was literally stolen from her. She had zero say in the matter.
Yeah, definitely.
A woman's body is a woman's body, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, and yeah, he mentions the stripling boy and kind of starts freaking out a little bit.
Yeah,
and suddenly Maester Vyman's there, and he just
because he does ask for his medicine. Finally, he's like, "I have medicine."
Yeah,
but yeah, man, it's fucked because technically speaking, he clearly has a reason to fucking hate Littlefinger. It makes me wonder if Littlefinger ever did something that he caught him in, other than fucking his daughter and getting her pregnant. But if she had just gotten that name from him right there, because she's still on board.
Well, that was where my thinking went, because Vyman's immediately there with the milk of the poppy, which he guzzles right down.
Yeah.
Do you think Littlefinger?
Possibly. That's I didn't even think of that. Absolutely.
Because that is the hinge on which Littlefinger is his and Lysa's relationship. If that gets out, if Tansy gets out and Littlefinger actually being sent away from Riverrun, not because of the duel with Brandon, because he got Lysa pregnant, that's why he was sent away when they were kids and fucking became Littlefinger and now is manipulating Lysa into killing Jon Arryn, blaming the Lannisters for it, and all his shit. Like, it hinges on sort of no one putting together their relationship.
That's possible. I mean,
he took her virginity, and I mean, Vyman might not even know what it is he's doing, but just keep him sedated, keep him
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that Vyman's not. I'm pretty sure he's been there for a long, long time.
It's just the way it was said, like, suddenly Vyman was there.
I agree, though.
He just suddenly was like, oh, here we go. And I know Hoster asked for it, so, like, it could just be a good doctor.
Yeah.
But he seemed a little too eager to be in Maesters. I'm keeping an eye on.
Sure. No, that was cool. But I didn't even think of that.
Vyman says that it may be time to right the Blackfish and perhaps Lysa call everybody back, because he's not going to be able to hold him here much longer.
And she's 100% on board with getting a hold of Brendan Tully.
Absolutely, but Lysa, she's like...
She's not coming.
And he's like, well, maybe if you ask her. And she's like, I'll put some words on paper, but I doubt it. But then she wonders who Lysa's wretched stripling boy had been. Maybe just a fucking...
A singer?
A singer. A singer is the one I latched on to. Lysa was overly fond of singers all her life, which Marmillion, all the fun stuff, which... I like, and then with singers, my mind always goes to fucking Mance Rayder too. Just bopping around.
It's interesting because even then, Cat and it
so much history for Lysa in this.
Oh
chapter.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Cool. It's cool.
So I think it's interesting because Cat says, but who could really blame Lysa? Because John Arryn was 20 years. Like, it was very, very current.
I mean, that has to be the scariest case of that situation. Like,
yeah.
Where, you're being forced to marry. Cat got Ned. Ned's not ugly by any means. He's handsome. He's rugged. Like, and I'm not saying that that's okay, but that's a lot less scary than marrying a man who's 20 years older, senior, looks a little more haggard, isn't comely and handsome and dashing like you would want.
So the weird thing I thought about was that she was like, oh, yeah, but who could blame Lysa when she's so scornful about Ned having run off on her? And again, like, completely different situations as Lysa's being forced to marry this man 20 years older.
Yeah.
And Ned's getting the fucking hookup, getting to marry Cat.
Yeah, but...
and so just interesting that she's okay with Lysa running off and thinking, she would definitely sleep with another guy. I don't blame her. Look who she was with. Whereas, she still hates John.
But she wasn't married then. She was young.
Well, I don't know that she gets the difference, because that's what the way I read it was it seemed like she thought that it happened while she was with John Arryn. And Kat oversaw that it was a thing from we know it's from when she was younger. But it didn't seem like she understood that. And
I thought she did, because she said that Lysa, when she was younger, was overly fond of the singers.
Maybe I'm looking into it. But I mean, she was still a bit younger, though.
There was the mention of, like, you'll marry when Cat does, like, and, all that. I think
which was about 16 years ago, so it could be right before.
Which places everything that
so,
he's
I
saying
suppose,
before
she probably
wed.
Never mind, so I suppose it's him
So,
saying,
I think it's just her
fear of marrying John Arryn. She ran off with a guy.
She can't judge the fact that she went a little cuckoo with John because it's somebody she didn't want. But her room, where she was staying, ended up being the one that she and Lysa had shared as maids. And she's looking forward to just fucking kicking it for a bit.
Nope.
But outside her door, Utherides.
That's what I'm going with anyway.
Wayne, I'll call him.
Wayne
waited with two women in gray, faces covered but for their eyes. And Kat knew at once that these are silent sisters, and knew at once why.
Ned!
They had laid him out on a trestle table, covered him with the banner of House Stark, and she tells him I would look upon him. And one of the they tell him only bones remain.
It's probably not a good idea.
She's like, I would look upon him. And so they pull the banner down. And Kat just thinks, bones, this is not Ned, not the man I loved, not the father of my children. His hands, though skeletal, were clasped over his chest, holding some long sword, she notes. And notes that just his eyes are gone, like, this isn't...
It's a skeleton.
Yeah.
It's a skeleton in armor.
And it hits her. It's like I think the finality of, like, not even getting to glance upon his dead face. Give him that one last kiss, that, hold his cheeks in her hand. She's not getting to look upon that.
That was that last time. Was
never for her. The last time she saw him was when they said goodbye in King's Landing. Right. And she's not getting to, hold his face in her hands and say goodbye. And she turns away from him and says, this is not his sword.
Yeah, and Wayne is like, sorry, lady, but
only
Cleos didn't bring it. It's like, only the bones. And she's like, well, I suppose I should at least thank Cersei for that much.
Thank the imp for that. It was his doing. And she says, one day I will thank them all.
I mean, granted, first, that fucking line.
Jamie
Yeah.
is heading right for her, dude.
Yeah.
And, like, one day I'll thank them all. And, like, that is just for Ned. Yeah, Rob hasn't even fucking died yet. And, oh, my goodness.
I just think it's interesting that, like, Tyrion actually did do her a favor, trying to, give the...
part of, like, what they agreed upon. Yeah, like, giving the bones back.
And she was the one that called him out in the tavern. Mm-hmm. She was the one that forced him to go for the trial by combat and all that. Like, put him up for trial for something he didn't do. And yet she still has this vengeance towards both Tyrion, and granted, I get absolutely now, Ned's been beheaded and such, but Tyrion wasn't there.
Yeah.
He was with her. He was trying to get away from her anyway. And so just how much she's holding against him and all that.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, like, now she just looked at Ned's bones, not even his body, but his bones, and so that hatred comes pouring through like a floodgate.
It's insane.
I also... so she says, I must ask you, the Silent Sisters, one more favor to take Ned's bones north so he can be laid to rest with his family in the crypt. And you'll be escorted by Hollis Mullen, as is his right as captain of the guard. And she says, now leave me. I would be alone with Ned tonight. And the women bow and they all leave. And she thinks that the Silent Sisters do not speak to the living, but some say that they can talk to the dead. And how she envied that. Oi. A heavy fucking ending on that chapter.
Just...
especially with what's coming for her.
Yeah, in her whole story with... She is the dead speaking. And so it's...
She literally has to hold her fucking cords in her throat so she can. Like... Oh, man. And then my other question is, do you think... Ooh, I just burped. Excuse me. Do you think
fucking
if...
gross.
Catelyn had... Ooh, I just burped again.
Cut that shit out, yo.
Do you think if Catelyn had realized that the wretched stripling boy was Littlefinger, that it would have clicked into place for her?
I don't think so.
You don't think?
I don't think that it would have been enough to. Because even if he did say it, she's not gonna really take too much stock in what he's saying right now. Because even after Edmure just said it himself, he's not all there. Doesn't make much sense. That and. He didn't talk about the Tansy, anything like that. He just expressed a hatred towards him. Yeah. And it would almost make sense for Lysa to go after Littlefinger because he was around and there and available. But I don't think she would have gotten everything clicking.
And then I also just, during this chapter, was thinking of how we get told, especially with like Tyrion and talking about it, that the best kind of rumors have a sprinkling of the truth, and how Littlefinger tells everybody that he took both the girls' maidenheads, and how the one he fawns over is Cat, so of course everyone focuses on that one, but no one's like, did he take Lysa's?
Did he actually?
But he did indeed.
Yeah.
Or, well, supposedly Lysa came to him drunk, but anyway, you got an inductee for this chapter?
Fuck.
Catelyn 5?
I don't know. You go first, because I don't have one yet. I've been trying to think of one.
Mine's going to the Blackfish. He's Cat's Rock right now. Like, the one that she wants here, not the one that is, unfortunately. I thought it was badass when I heard he went with Rob. Like, I feel like that was a huge boon to Oxcross, and the victory there was, I feel like Blackfish had a huge hand in that, even if he's not getting as much mention as Grey Wind. Yeah, because everyone else just Cat was kind of bitchy. It was either going to be Blackfish or Brienne for me. So,
sweet.
But Blackfish, I think.
All right, I got mine. So then, because you're going with Blackfish, I'm going to give mine to Martin Rivers, the guy that is taking over for Blackfish. You got to be a pretty fucking hardcore dude to be able to fill the shoes of the Blackfish. And while I'm sure he's not quite that far along yet, he's making some strides if he's doing it.
Is he trustworthy as a bastard of House Frey?
That was the next thing I was going to mention. Is he's a bastard of House Frey, but he goes by Rivers, and I don't know. I mean, he seems pretty loyal. I don't know what he does in the future. I've never paid attention to him because he's not something I've paid attention to. Valid. So I'm excited to see.
Cool. So Blackfish, Martin Rivers. We did get an inductee from our favorite French fry, Julian.
One day I will thank them all.
He says, hello, my friends. I am torn between 2 inductees for this chapter. For each one, each one I've already picked in the past. I'm going to go with the Blackfish for having, again, such a strong presence, even if he's not in this chapter. His experience, his charisma, make him an awesome character. There isn't a second inductee.
The second one here is one, it says, and now just to piss off Zach, my second choice was, why the fuck is Zach's email
Because you fucking try to scroll when you're just reading a fucking thing that doesn't need to be moved. You always do that when you're reading. You try to fucking scroll. Repeat, always.
And just to piss off Zach, my second choice was Renly, because he would have been the best. I didn't say it. Brienne did. Hashtag Renly Rage.
Yeah, whatever.
Have a good night.
You inducted the Blackfish, though, and so did I, so that's good. That's good.
Skirting right over that.
What?
But we're going on to Edmure Rage anyway these days.
No, I'm going on to the fact that you can't read a thing without fucking
touching it. Wow, you're really just
going
to try and...
Dude, I watch you do it on your phone, and it drives me fucking nuts when you're reading, like, articles and shit. You have to fucking always be scrolling down.
Wow, it's an attack fest. I just read.
Fuck.
It's because I'm able to read faster than you, and so I have to keep it going.
No, it's because you have to touch things constantly.
Listen to this guy getting so aggressive. Fuck. I think that's going to close out the episode,
I think
though. So fuck this
Send
guy.
us your inductees for Danny 3.
Oh, yeah.
That's the next one we're reading after. That's going to be Davos 2, I think. Davos 2.
Yes, that'll be great.
And yeah, so that's exciting news.
Yeah.
Get us your inductees for those, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Valar fuck Zach DeHarris.
Peace.